must undermine and attack the Jews so that everyone can see that we are Christians, so that God can know that we are Christians. We need to hate and we need to attack the Jews so that God can know that we are Christians, because apparently that's the Christian thing to do. So, okay, Wally Ram, we're not here to talk about the Talmud, okay? So, enough now. Just enough, all right? Some people in Hitler's time went so far as to believe that Hitler was the reincarnation of Luther. The Minister of Education in Nazi Germany wrote, "Since Martin Luther closed his eyes, no such son of our people has appeared again. It has been decided that we shall be the first to witness Martin Luther's reappearance. I think the time is past when one may not say the names of Hitler and Luther in the same breath. They belong together. They are of the same old stamp." So the line from Luther to Hitler runs straight, and that one of the main causes which turned Germany into a country of barbarians was Martin Luther and his German Reformation. So that is, there we go. So they belong together. They belong as part of the same old stamp. So towards the end now, we're going to end in a couple of slides. There are hardly two men in history like Martin Luther and Adolf Hitler, for they are both phenomenons unto themselves. Both have left a remarkable impact not only on Germany, but on the history of the world. One might even ask, if Luther had not written on the Jews and their lives, would Hitler have become fanatically anti-Semitic and murderous? Luther is still remembered, discussed, and debated centuries after his life. And the same is true for Hitler, who was still a controversial figure decades after his death. Hatred alone is a fascinating thing, but coupled with the ability to persuade and convince others to follow these extreme beliefs, this makes it a tragic phenomenon. One must remember that Luther's works influenced Hitler and the Nazi Party, and by prosecuting one, the other must be prosecuted as well. Julius Streicher, one of Hitler's top officials and the publisher of Der Stürmer, an anti-Semitic newspaper, was quoted as saying that Martin Luther would be on trial as well if on the Jews and their lies had been taken into consideration. Last 2 pages. Both Martin Luther and Hitler were egomaniacs who felt superior to the current political and religious systems that regulated the masses. Each man felt that he alone had the correct political and religious process for Germany at the time. Luther and Hitler both used the guise that their revolutions, don't forget revolutions, not a reformation, a revolution, were in the best interests of the German people, but they cared not for the victims that would suffer from their extreme behavior. The 100,000 dead peasants might think that Luther didn't do them any favors. The end result for Germany was the same: bias and hate towards a specific ethnic group, the Jews, which has now been exported worldwide thanks to Martin Luther. Where Luther saw the Jews as being under a divine curse by the devil, Hitler saw the Jews as a nationalistic threat. To the more religious-oriented Martin Luther, the Jews were the enemy to Jesus, while the politically focused Adolf Hitler saw them as the enemy to Germany. This is not to say that Martin Luther did not have a strong political slant. He was very much politically oriented. Don't think that that wasn't the case. So, despite being one of the most documented events, now this is the Holocaust, just briefly. Despite being one of the most documented events in human history, supported on the one hand by numerous eyewitness testimonies of survivors and liberators, and on the other by German records, written and photographic, there are those who deny the existence of the Holocaust. The inspiration for this denial is simply anti-Semitic hate. Those who want to deny the Holocaust allege either that it did not take place at all, that Hitler never ordered it, that there were no gas chambers and no crematoria in the death camps, or that the deaths of Jews occurred on a much smaller scale than they really did, being due to poor living conditions and not a deliberate policy of extermination. The account the rest of the world believes was made up in order to legitimize the Zionist state. Sometimes there's a less explicit subtext. If the Holocaust didn't happen, it should have. And Hitler didn't finish the job. So, in other words, I've seen often, Hitler never did it, the Holocaust never happened, and Hitler should have finished the job that never happened. Okay, yeah, that's contradictory, but fine. So, there also exists the anti-Semitic behavior known as anti-Zionism. Zionism is the national movement for the return of the Jewish people to their homeland. Now, why should the Jews be the only people on earth not to have a homeland? And of course, you've got like 51 Arab states around them, which is okay, but you can't have one Jewish state that's the size of a postage stamp, right? And the resumption of the Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel. Anti-Zionism, therefore, is the movement against it. according to William Nichols, which is of course, the pro-Hamas, pro-jihadi side. Lots of Christians are pro-jihadi. You'd be surprised how many. According to William Nichols, author of Christian Anti-Semitism, he argues that the history of the Middle East conflict is being rewritten to make it appear that in all the 5 wars, I think it's 6 now, between the Arab powers and Israel, or 7, Israel was always the aggressor and always more militarily powerful. Yeah, so unfortunately, the Arabs were always the first aggressors. So yeah, I think that should end it. We can finish here. So yeah, there is an attempt to obviously rewrite history. There's an attempt to lie to us. And I'll just go through this. This is Martin Luther. That's him at 150 plus kilograms, 330 plus pounds. You know, at his death. This is the Nazi rallies. That's good old Adolf, right? One of the Buchenwald concentration camp. And yeah, so that's it. So yeah, thanks, Just Janice. It's hard to get my head around this. Yeah, so this is even, of course, Wally Ram. So okay, so this is information on Martin Luther that is well known within academic circles. You can find plenty of information like this if you know where to look. However, of course, Protestants do not want to talk about this. Historians don't really want to talk about this. It is starting to come out now. And hopefully I'm the one that's starting to make this a common thing. Right? Horst says, to reinforce Lloyd's lecture, everyone should read William Shirer's Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. As evil and inhuman as Hitler was, Stalin and Mao are equals. Yeah, they were worse, if not. So yeah, Luther was definitely a glutton. Luther was insane. The guy was clearly nuts. So yeah, guys, this is my talk on this. And I will also now introduce, obviously, I'll go through the Martin Luther material. Let me just close this. And I have shown you guys the Martin Luther stuff. Let's go here. Luther. Here we go. So yeah, this is on Luther. And we'll be discussing Luther. We'll be going through his impact on Protestantism, on how he introduced so much war into Europe. And Francis Bull, thank you so much. This is eye-opening, but very informative. No, thank you. Yeah, so we'll be talking a lot about this. And of course, something I love showing people, and of course, this is a weak hadith now, lately, where Luther says that Christ committed adultery